The Kailash Temple may be considered as the masterpiece of the Ellora caves, but it is by no means the only Hindu cave at the site. "13 more Hindu caves were carved in the cliff face to the north of the Kailash Temple, numbered 17 to 29. Cave 29, located at the northernmost edge of the cliff, may well be the earliest Hindu cave built at Ellora, dating perhaps from the mid-5th or early 6th century CE. Also called Dumar Lena, Cave 29 is one of the largest at Ellora, and appears to be an almost exact replica of the Elephanta cave. Cave 29, however, surpasses the Elephanta cave in size and in the quality of its ornamentation, so that no consensus exists as to which came first, Elephanta or Ellora. The floor plan of Cave 29 is identical to that of the Great Cave of Elephanta, having the same 3 separate openings towards the cardinal directions. The enormous pillared hall is in the shape of a cross, 50 meters or 150 feet deep by 80 meters or 250 feet wide. Dozens of massive monolithic pillars with cushioned capitals support the roof, dividing the space into 5 naves. Large sculptures decorate the walls at the end of the naves. These include a stunning depiction of the demon king Ravana shaking Mount Kailash, being one of the favorite subjects portrayed in the Ellora caves. The wedding of Shiva and Parvati, accompanied by a 3-headed Brahma, acting as a priest and kneeling before the sacrificial fire. And Shiva in his destructive form of Andakasuravada, slaying the king of the demons, Andaka, by piercing him with a spear. These carvings are of exceptional artistic quality and may be ranked among the finest examples of Hindu art of all times. The main shrine is a square room with 4 doorways aligned to the cardinal directions, each guarded by a pair of gigantic Dvarapalas. Because of this cave's similarity to the Elephanta cave, Cave 29 is possibly one of the earliest excavations at Ellora. It may have been created by the Kalachuri dynasty in the 5th or 6th century CE. However, the lack of inscriptions makes any dating hypothesis necessarily tenuous. A steep trail leads down from Cave 29 towards the ravine, which forms here a spacious bay occupied by a waterfall during the monsoon season. Located almost directly under the waterfall, the much ruined Cave 28 is a little more than a hole in the rock. Cave 27, located on the other side of the ravine, is another simple cave, yet spectacularly located on a narrow ledge with a view of the waterfall during the monsoon season. Farther along, Cave 26 has Elephanta-style columns with cushioned capitals. At the end of the spacious hall is a linga shrine containing a large square pedestal and a linga. The Linga shrine is flanked by huge Dvarapala sculptures, while the pilasters on both sides of the shrine are decorated with sensual female deities. Next, we find Cave 25. This is a large but much ruined excavation, having lost its entrance porch, of which only the bases of 6 large columns and pilasters remain. Continuing south, one reaches Cave 24, a series of 5 low cells popularly known as Teli Kagana, or the oilman's mill, perhaps because an oil press had been installed in this cave long after it ceased to serve as a temple. A little farther along, a monumental, although much ruined gateway leads into the courtyard of Cave 22, whose most notable feature is the square Nandi pavilion placed directly in front of it. The cave itself consists of a large hall with side chapels supported by pillars. The sanctum contains a highly polished linga with blue streaks, which give this cave its name of Nilkanta. Continuing south, Cave 21 is the next important Brahmanic cave. Also known as Rameshvara, it is preceded by a large courtyard with a tall monolithic platform with a couching Nandi. The capitals of the veranda are exceptionally ornate with sensual female figures, standing under foliage and accompanied by diminutive attendant dwarves. The large hall behind contains several shrines or chapels, decorated with sculptures and beautiful relief carvings. To the left of the entrance, these include a particularly striking representation of the demon king Ravana shaking Mount Kailash, with Shiva and Parvati sitting on top. The chapel on the north side contains a representation of Durga slaying the buffalo demon Mahisashura Mardini. The wedding of Shiva and Parvati, with a 3-headed Brahma kindling the ceremonial fire and a procession of dwarves and musicians. And the tall 4-armed Skanda, the son of Shiva and Parvati, here portrayed as a warrior god with a youthful appearance, holding a large bird by the neck and flanked by 2 enigmatic ram-headed figures. A similar chapel on the south side contains even more striking sculptural representation. These include a beautiful representation of Shiva as Nataraja, the lord of dances, and the 7 mother goddesses known as Saptamatrikas, originally identified with the 7 stars of the Pleiades constellation. On the right wall is a particularly striking scene depicting a tall 4-armed skeleton carrying a knife, and the goddess Kali, carrying a severed head in one hand and wearing a snake around her neck. The columns of the hall are in the Elephanta style, with cushioned capitals, elegantly framing the rich decoration of the interior. Immediately south of the Rameshvara Cave, one passes through caves number 20, 19, and 18. These are quite simple excavations, almost devoid of ornamentation and of rather plain appearance. Yet it is obvious that their construction must have still required a considerable effort and the removal of thousands of tons of hard basalt rock from the cliff face. Some of these caves appear to have suffered significant damage and destruction, either at the hands of men or because of countless centuries of weathering and erosion. Finally, one reaches Cave 17, the last cave in this group, located a mere 400 meters to the north of the Kailash Temple. The cave is particularly noteworthy for its decorated doorway and highly ornate pillars. It is entered through a projecting porch that leads to a colonnade hall and a linga sanctuary with a circumambulatory passage. Compared to the square pillars of the front, the inner ones have delicately ornate brackets carved with sensual female figures and dwarf attendants. The shrine door is elegantly sculptured with colossal guardian statues, or dvarapalas, on each side of the entrance. After Cave 17, only one more Hindu cave will be carved out to the north of the site. Cave 30, or Little Kailash, shows evidence of having been started as a Hindu temple, quite possibly a late, crude copy of the Great Kailash Temple, but remained unfinished and was only later converted into a Jain temple. This cave, together with caves 31 to 34, belongs to the last group of caves at Ellora, which were carved towards the end of the 9th century or the beginning of the 10th century CE to honor the religion of Jainism. Although smaller than most other Hindu and Buddhist caves, with these Jain temples lacking size, they more than compensate with the quality and refinement of their ornamentation, being perhaps some of the last yet finest examples of monolithic rock-cut architecture in all of India.